Hello and welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you a fun little colored pencil piece that was part of Colored Pencil Magazine's monthly art challenge. So Colored Pencil Magazine puts on a challenge every single month. They post a new photo and you do a colored pencil piece based on that photo and submit it by the deadline. And then they pick a winner and you can win really great prizes. And here is the little piece that I did for March of 2018. And yes, you heard that right. 2018, it was a long time ago, but I found the footage and it was a really fun little drawing. So I wanted to show it to you guys. Also, stay tuned because at the end, I will show you the difference between photographing your artwork versus scanning your artwork. And it's a pretty big difference. We're in the art studio today to work on Colored Pencil Magazine's March challenge, which is this picture here of the Converse shoes. I believe they're Converse. And I have my paper picked out. It's the Stonehenge from the tablet. So just regular tablet Stonehenge, not the big sheets that you cut into. So this is a little bit, I've heard it's a little bit thinner than the sheet Stonehenge. And I have some guidelines, top and bottom, so that if I need to place this paper back on it in the future to trace something that I may have missed, I also folded the edges here, you can see. And I am tracing this month. It is the last week of March already, and so this is due really shortly. So I'm in a hurry, but I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done well, and I'll bring you along on the process. All right, so starting right in, I just used an old piece of carbon paper, yep, from the old days, and just taped my piece down so that I could lift, lower, check things out, make sure it works. So Colored Pencil Magazine's challenge, let's talk a bit about that. The only rules are you have to use colored pencils. So they can be colored watercolor pencils, colored Inktense pencils, Crayola colored pencils. There's probably varieties, I'm not even thinking wax, oil, it really doesn't matter as long as it's 90% colored pencils. And then you can see here, I brought out my Derwent watercolor pencils and I had barely used them, and yep, the white just hit the ground if you saw that. And I barely know these at all, so I have to make sure I swatch them out first so that I can get used to what the colors are. So I finished the swatches dry here. And I put a box around the white, and then I put a black background and put white on it. And now I'm just going to use this water brush here to go over them with water to see what they look like with water. And I'm glad I did this swatch because some of the colors that I probably would have picked out of that roll are not what I expected them to be, but they're pretty close. And here we jump right to them with water, and they're so pretty. However, I was kind of disappointed overall with the Derwent ones, but we'll talk about that later. Here you can see I'm just kind of holding my swatches up and kind of picking out which colors out of all of these I'll probably be using for the whole piece, which for the shoes, which for the background. And I didn't have any exact matches, but in artwork I don't think it should be an exact match to your reference unless of course you're doing a commission. So there's some artistic liberty there, and I think that's great. So here I'm just taking a base color and I put it over the whole background, and then I'm just putting in a couple of the shadows, just a few, just so I can kind of get an idea of if I need to go darker or lighter. And then I don't know how I missed some footage, but there was nothing to be found for what you just saw in the jump there. But basically, I came back, I think it was the next day or just later that day, and realized I needed to go a lot darker in the background there. So I just laid over a much heavier application of color, a slightly darker color, and then here I went a little bit real time so you could see how the water brush activates that Derwent colored pencil. I also wanted to show you here how I use my hand for getting the amount of water that I actually want on the piece. So I can really get a feel for how much water is on the brush by putting it in the palm of my hand, squeezing it out, and then brushing it off like you would on a paper towel under normal circumstances. So it's right after this pencil and this water application that I actually switched to the regular Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. And I have a love-hate relationship with these pencils because they are very smooth, they go down really nicely, they're so much fun in like those adult typed coloring books, but anytime you go to sharpen them, you're just gonna get frustrated. So I have tried leaving mine in the hot sun because they say it will make the core inside kind of melt back together, but I don't know, every time I sharpen these, they break. So mine are the typical experience of most people out there. I just have a really hard time when I go to sharpen them. It's frustrating. So here you can see I switched to the Prismacolor colorless blender. It's actually the marker that goes with their markers, their alcohol markers. So it has I guess it's alcohol in it, but I kind of use it like odorless mineral spirits here, and it blends the colored pencils, and it's nice because it can get into these little intricate areas and does a good job. I've actually shown that once in one other video. I can't remember which one, but I'll try and find it, and I'll stick that link up in the corner for you. Alright, back to the piece. That's the thing with colored pencil pieces, is they take a really, really long time. And actually, if I add up all the footage on this one's not terribly long, but I picked a really small size to start with. I think this was a 5x7 or smaller. But yeah, with colored pencil stuff, you put your layer down and then you kind of look at it and you go back in with another layer. And then you come back and you look at it again and you go in with yet another layer. And you keep doing that for hours on end, it feels like. So yeah, colored pencil is not my favorite medium, but it's fun to do them once in a while and kind of test your skills and increase basically your experience and your knowledge with them, and you come out with something pretty neat most of the time. So that's kind of a nice bonus. And I slowed down the footage here for a moment so you could see how I hold several pencils in my hand at the same time, and I'm constantly just switching between them all because I am using the 3 colors there for the shadows, the highlights, and the same sections of the laces over and over and over again. So there's no need to set them down, and you just hold them in your other hand and just stick one in, take one out, and move on. Alright, back to Prismacolor pencils for a moment. You have to keep them really, really sharp in order to get into the tooth of the paper and get into all your details. So that sharpening problem that I was mentioning earlier is kind of a big deal. So find a good sharpener, that's all I can say, and do the best you can. Here I've switched to the Uniball Signo. I don't know if that's actually the brand that I'm holding, but that's the one I use today mostly for the little lace details. That part was really fun. It really made the drawing really start to come together because, I don't know, they were just boring gray shoes. And once I put the laces on, it was great. And here I grabbed gesso because I don't think I had white acrylic paint. I definitely didn't have like P.H. Martin's bleed proof white or anything like that. But I kind of lost the tips of the laces there in this whole process, and I wanted them back, so I just used some gesso that I had. And now the very important part, signing your artwork. Now sometimes we forget to sign our artwork, but since these are going up on a public site, it's extra important that your signature is there because we've all heard about art theft, and it's just something you want to avoid. And last but not least, some extra gesso there. I always get paint all over my fingers. Taking the tape off. Here we go. So who thinks that taping their artwork is absolutely necessary? Comment down below. Having that finished look at the end is really nice, but do you guys paint to the edge or do you tape? Let me know. And just for your viewing pleasure, I put mine below the actual photo reference. So yes, my background's different color, but what do you think? Did I pull it off? Which do you like better? And then stay tuned because we're going to talk about scanning. Here's the issue. When you scan your images, it puts a bright light up onto your artwork and it does not come out very well. I know some people have really good scanners where this works for them, but most scanners that all of us are going to have just aren't going to work for taking care of your artwork. And when you're entering these challenges, you have to upload a picture of your artwork. And here you can see side by side, the one on the left is the photograph that I took of my artwork to submit to the Colored Pencil Magazine Challenge. And the one on the right is the scanned one, and they're so drastically different. And the one on the left actually is what it looks like if I pull it out right now from the drawer in real person. The one on the left is what it looks like. So you really need to take a photograph of it. And the best way I found to do that is to go outside. You need to find a shady place that the drawing or painting can sit in. So you have sunlight, so it's a sunny day, but you're finding a shady spot. Put your painting in that spot and then put your camera angle so that there is no angle. Basically, you need to be flat on with your drawing or painting so that the sides are even and the tops are even when you're looking through the view screen. There's no wider or shorter parts than others. And then take multiple pictures. In fact, take multiple pictures in different shady spots as well. and then you can upload it through coloredpencilmag.com, and all the instructions will be on their website, so it'll be pretty easy to follow. And that about wraps it up. I'll probably think of a million things I forgot to tell you after I already published this video as usual, but hopefully this gives you a good start, and thank you so much for watching today. Make sure you like this video if you found some value in it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like the ones on my channel. We will see you Friday.